Hey man, how you doing? It's me, Lucifer. And if it's your first time joining my channel, welcome. I'm a business and spiritual consultant. Obviously, I don't know what else Lucifer would do if he was here. He'd be a business and spiritual consultant because business and spirituality is everything that the world is made of. So it's only normal that that's what I do. Um, Before we get started here, there's a lot of talk about homosexuality recently, and it's coming from supposed spiritual people. I'm a good looking guy, and to me, this is my answer to homosexuality. If you think a guy like me is gay, maybe when you know you're calling the pot calling the kettle black, or you have like you're projecting your own insecurities on people, whether it's for some kind of witchcraft or whatever, you're still projecting yourself into that person. It's like Dolo the pilot was talking about self reflecting demons and shit or whatever the fuck, you know, whatever that was, whatever that means, bro. That's I think that's kind of like what's going on with these people. These people are homosexuals, right? So all the girls, Dolo the pilot might be a homosexual, and all of the people that are in his soul group might be homosexuals too. They might be like hardcore veteran like homosexuals, you know what I mean? Like through all the paces. And the women that are on there, the reason why I'm talking about me being a, seemingly attractive guy, right? Is that I'm a narcissist, right? I'm narcissist, right? I'm the god of loving myself. And as Narcissus, I can't understand a woman that does not find me attractive. So if you're if you don't spend time trying to get to know me or sleep with me, then you might be a lesbian. You might be a repressed lesbian. You might have more attractiveness towards other women than men. Because if you spend all that time trying to destroy a beautiful man, and you don't want to sleep with him and you don't want to know him, that means you're gay. Right? Because me as a guy, as a man, if I see an attractive woman, I want to sleep with her or at least get to know her. You know what I mean? Or, have I would like to gravitate around her in some shape or form, right? Of course, I don't do the friendship thing, but I obviously want to gravitate around that attractiveness. I'm not going to pull myself away from that attractiveness. I'm going to get myself towards that attractiveness. So these people, these Dolo the pilot man, these tarot card readers are well, I don't know. There's a very gay vibe about this whole soul group thing, right? There's a very homosexual vibe in there, right? So I think these guys might be like hardcore gay people, like they orgies and all and shit, right? And for the women, if they don't participate in that kind of action because they think the guys in the soul group are actually straight dudes, and in actuality those guys are gay as gay can be, but they don't know that because they kind of look good too, right? So they thinking like oh, I might have a relationship with one of these guys in the soul group. I mean, this is a soul group. They think like we do, the kind of spiritual blah blah blah. No, these motherfuckers are gay. If they haven't slept with you yet, it's because they're gay. You're hanging around a bunch of gay people, and if you're a woman, and if those women that are in there, because I don't know about the whole woman part, but there's something fishy about these people. So I think there's something kind of beardish, like the New York guy says. There's something beardish about about these people, man. So but for the women that I don't really know, I think you might have some form of repressed homosexuality. You are more attracted to females than you're attracted to men, because a female that finds a man attractive finds a man attractive. Period. So they don't. A woman is not gonna try to not get the guy to sleep with her. If you're a woman and you're not trying to get a guy to sleep with you, you're probably gay. there's a high there's a very high chance that you might be gay. Nonetheless, that doesn't mean you can't have integrity, right? So you can be thinking of it in your mind, but you don't actually express it, right? So there's a thing too. You might have some integrity, you might have some self control, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna try and destroy a creature as beautiful as I am. If you're trying to destroy a beautiful creature like me, is because you're a lesbian. Period. Now, the thing is, that's not even what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about was cocaine. I wanted to talk about motherfucking cane. Um, I'm sorry, bro. I don't want to talk about cocaine. I want to talk about drugs. I don't. I don't want to talk about cocaine. I want to talk about drugs, man. And this is serious. This is a serious subject, all right? Because if you're entering the darkness, okay, if I'm influencing you to enter the darkness, that doesn't mean that you should go out and take all kinds of drugs. That's not what taking hold of your darkness is. You messing up right now, man. Like, you tripping right now, bro. It has nothing to do with drugs. That's a form of darkness. You can find darkness in drugs, but that's a whole lifestyle of darkness. That's not, that's like, it's a habitat that's dark. That's not darkness. That's not the power of darkness. That it's not even related, right? That's just drugs is just something that happens in the dark. It's not actual darkness. Darkness is, you can't be doing that. Darkness is more of your other half. Darkness is the part of you that's not light. Darkness is everything that you consider sin. Darkness is thoughts that you have in your mind that you do not control until you start taking control of it and you stop letting it control you. Because when you're in the light, you're always getting attacked by entities, right? You're always getting attacked by entities. Those entities or those people take advantage of you not being comfortable with your darkness, and they attack you with those things, right? Like, some people might have had bad relationship in the past. Some people might have cheated on their girlfriends. Hold up, let me just put a little bit more light here. Some people might have cheated on their girlfriends once, right? There's a lot of talk about cheating, right? Some people might have cheated on their girlfriends and it's killing them because they felt like, I shouldn't have cheated on her. Darkness is, I cheated on her, so what? Right? Like, that's darkness. I mean, that's a little bit extreme, I'll admit it, but it's still kind of what it is. And I'm saying kind of because even then it's not really that. Who you're actually saying so what to is your own darkness. It's your own darkness, right? Because your darkness is only going to keep nagging you if he thinks that this could hurt you. So if you actually did cheat on your girlfriend once or something like that, And your darkness is like, you're a cheater, you're disloyal, this is why women don't like you, this is why nobody wants to talk to you, blah 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 blah, right? That's because you're trying to stay in the light. You're trying to do what's right, because in society they tell you walk in a straight line, walk in the light, believe in Jesus, he's your savior, pardon my language, he's your savior, blah 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 blah, walk in the light, right? So you're giving him all the space in your darkness. Like let's say this is light, right? This is light, right? So all this space is light, right? So all this space is free for anybody to roam because you are not living in this space. You're not living in this space. So this space is just, empty vacuum of the universe. So anything an asteroid can fly through, bullets can fly through, people can fly through it, aliens can fly through it, supposed demons can fly through it, the government can fly through it because you don't live there. Even though it's part of you, you didn't establish a home there. My home is not like this. My home is like this, right? There's one half is in the light, one half is in the darkness, right? So me, a demon can't come and just tell me that you cheated on your girlfriend, because I'm gonna be like, yeah, so your point is. like like what's I don't get it. What you're trying to tell me here, I don't understand. And it's not just me not caring, it's me being comfortable with the fact that maybe I had cheated on my girlfriend, which I did not. Actually, I never cheated on any of my girlfriends. There's you can ask around as much as you want. That never happened even once in my entire life. So, because I was a lover boy when I was a kid, I was a lover boy when I was a teenager. Even as a young adult, I was a lover boy. So I didn't really believe in cheating and shit. And I always had like a strong stance on relationships. And I still do. I still do have a strong stance on relationship and how a relationship is supposed to be conducted, at least on a minimum level. Because some people might take it like too extreme, but me, there's just little things like, not cheating on your girlfriend. I take that seriously. I'm like, sure, why not? It makes sense to me. I wouldn't like it if somebody cheated on me, so I might as well not cheat on her. It's not that I didn't have the chance to, because I had plenty of chances to cheat on my shit. I had girlfriends that encouraged me to cheat on them. Like, I had girlfriends that actually presented me women so I could sleep with. You know what I mean, bro? That's fucked up shit. And I'm sitting there, it's really fucked up because I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, but I like you. I mean, I appreciate the gesture, but and it's not like she was gonna sleep with me with these girls at the same time. It wasn't a threesome. No, she literally, like, I know some girls that literally wanted me to sleep with another girl, but it's because I treated them right. So at some point when you stay like for like 2 years or 3 years with a girl or some shit like that, at some point she's like, this guy is too good to me, man, and he's putting up he's putting up with all my bullshit for I don't know how for a decade and shit. So you know what, I'm gonna give him a Mr. What's the chocolate bar again? I'm gonna give him a chocolate bar, man. I'm gonna give him a O. Henry. Here, have this. So have this. So that's why you have to be, comfortable with your darkness, because, and at that time, I was kind of comfortable with my darkness, but that didn't mean I wanted to cheat on you, though. Like, well, it's still cheating, because you don't want me, you don't want to be there while I'm sleeping with her, and you don't want to know that I'm sleeping with her, but you know that I'm sleeping with her, so it's still cheating, like, and I didn't want to do that. So it's not, I didn't feel any kind of way because I'm kind of like, I'm used to darkness. So I don't mind other people's way of thinking. I don't mind other people's ideals and things like that, like this lustful sinful way of whatever you want to call it. Some people would really be uncomfortable in that situation and they would take it to a complete offense. But not me. I was like, well, she wanted me to sleep with a girl. She wanted me to sleep with a girl. So what? This. Tomorrow's another day. So at the same time, this is why I have certain principles about women where I'm like, that's why I treat women right, because they give you gifts sometimes, and it's fucked up gifts, and it comes in a very fucked up way, but whatever, like shit happens, and and so it is what it is. So so that's why I treat women right. That's why I try to treat women that I go out with. I try to treat right, because I know they're gonna give me something. Even if I don't accept it, I know how she's like. I know how she thinks. She's gonna do shit like that, And some women don't feel like they're worthy of going out with you. Once they go out with you, sometimes that's why they go bonkers on you, right? Because you're a good guy and you treat them right, and they're like, man, you're too good for me, right? In their mind, they're like, you're too good for me. They don't actually say it, but you can kind of notice, like she's always like if you're with a girl and she's always like pointing at other girls and she's like, oh, well, she's cute. Like she's in her mind, she's saying like, why don't you go out with her instead of going out with me? And that's just women being irrational. It's not. Don't take it personal. It's not even the thing. It's just sometimes women are a little bit irrational. Like there's no such thing as if I'm going out with you, why don't you go out with that person? That doesn't make any sense. That's not how it works. That person is with you. The person is with you. If you feel like that person is a gift from Lucifer, if you feel that person's a gift from Lucifer, deal with it. Lucifer decided to give you a good person to be with. He decided to give you a good person to be with, man. Stop, second guessing yourself and asking you questions. It's none of your business. Even if the guy looks like a goddamn supermodel, it doesn't matter. Maybe you did something good at some point, somewhere, somehow, and that's the reason why the person's with you. Man, you don't have to. But women tend to like they freak out when they have what they want. They freak the fuck out. Like dudes don't do that. Dudes will, dudes can be dry wall looking ass. If he's going out with like a Pam Anderson kind of girl, he's not gonna second guess himself, man. Like he's not he's not gonna second guess himself. He will hang on to that for as long as humanly possible. But women don't think like that. Women are like, nah, I don't know. I don't deserve this. I don't know. This is weird. This is wrong. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. Stop. It's magic, right? It's magic. It's the laws of attraction. If you wanted something, you got it. Period. That's how it works. And a lot of women like kind of like fly by their opportunities because of that shit. Because they feel like they're not good enough. Blah 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 blah. So there's kind of segue there between lesbians and heterosexual women. If you catch my drift. Not that I want to talk about that. I mostly want to talk about the drugs aspect because you don't if you're watching my videos and you think I'm pushing you towards living like gangster, that's not what I'm pushing you to do, man. These grills, right? This style that I have, this darkness that I have, like I said before, those are just they're to scare away. It's like being a gargoyle. You're talking about shape shifting. Some people was talking about shape. A lot of people talk. I was talking about shape shifting too. So like some people talk about this is a form of shape shifting, right? This is a form of shape shifting. It's not shape shifting like in a material realm. It's shape shifting in the immaterial realm. It's to keep away the bad presence. It's to keep away the light, right? It's to keep away the light. So when the light is shining on me, all I have to do is smile, and the light shines back at them. So the light is not blinding me, right? So the more I shine, the less I'm gonna get, blinded by the light, right? Because if I shine, shining too much is not good, but I have to shine a little bit. I have to have not shine, but I have to have ornaments, specific artifacts on me that will reflect back the source of the light, right? Because these lights are these kinds of lights that live on a different spectrum are like parasites. They attack you, they latch onto you, and the more that you love the light, the more active they'll become in your life. The more active they'll become in your life, and the more you're gonna have to pray, the more you're gonna have to believe in God, the more you're gonna have to give up your own personal strength and be completely subservient to a higher power than you are, and you will never know the greatness that you have within you because you're being blinded by light. And trust me, this and this is like the only way to keep these things away from me. And it's not like I keep them totally away from me. It's just that I have to. It's like a thermometer. I have to gauge the level of the temperature. I have to gauge the temperature, right? It's just like darkness too. Darkness, I have to gauge the temperature of my darkness. Even though I have a more experience in the dark because I'm a child of darkness, right? Since I have more experience in the dark, I don't have to gauge darkness that much. I'm quite comfortable in the dark. I've always been comfortable in the dark. Most humans are very comfortable in the dark, so that's why it's hard to live in the light or to understand the light. But for people like me or you, we were born in the dark, and then we spent a lot of time studying the light and trying to conform to the light. But now you have to switch back a little. Well, not switch back, it's not really switching back. You have to you have to align, right? You have to align the two together. Like I said, like some people's life are like this, mine is like this, right? So I got a house in the light and I have a house in the darkness. I don't just have, it's not just half. Some people it's half. Some people only have one house. And a lot of you, like chosen ones, a lot of you indigo people, you only have one house. You only have one house, and your house is in the light, right? You only have a house in the light. So you need to build a house in both places. Last year, I put a video from Massive Attack called Angels. And I did like a little video where it shows in the video, it says, let traffic flow. Basically, it's a video explaining what being a targeted individual feels like, what being schizophrenic feels like, right? So it's this one guy, and there's a pack of people running after him, and he starts off running, right? Like the guy comes out of his car, he's at his job, he gets out of his car, parks his car, gets out of his car, there's a guy looking at him, so he decides to just blast off running, right? But the thing is, there's a bunch of other people that joins the guy running after the guy, right? So there's like a massive group of people running after the dude. So at some point, he stops running. He looks at everybody, and everybody's mimicking him. Everybody's acting like him, right? So when he realizes that, he takes control of his power and he starts running after these people, and everybody else is running away from him, right? And in that same video, there's a little poster that you can see that says let traffic flow both ways. So you can't be 100% in the light and you can't be 100% in the darkness. You have to have both at 100%, and when you have both at 100%, you connect the two together. And then you become higher, you become a higher person, you have a higher state of consciousness. You live in the 5D world. You live in the 5D world, or maybe even the 6D world, right? Because I'm not sure what 6D looks like. Because we're talking about physics here, not just metaphysics. And according to physics, living in the 5D world is already crazy. So if you live in the 6D world, it's even crazier, right? So you can't just you gotta maintain your maturity. You gotta maintain your maturity. If you're at a point where you need to take drugs, I think it's you're at the point where you need to talk to me. If you're at a point where you're taking drugs, you need to talk to me. Either you take drugs and you don't care about life and you don't take this shit seriously, which is probably mostly the case, and that's fine. Do whatever you want. You're a YouTuber, right? You're not a real person. But if you whichever the case, if you want to be a real person, instead of going down the rabbit hole of taking drugs, um, just talk to me. Just talk to me, because this, like I said, this is not a joke to me. I don't take drugs. I don't drink a lot, and I don't take drugs. I drink wine every like 4 months, 2 3 months or something like that. I don't take drugs. I just smoke cigarettes and drink coffee all the time. That's the only thing I do. I drink coffee and smoke cigarettes all the time. So there's no drugs here. There's no psychedelics. I am the psychedelic. I have transcended drugs. I'm worse than drugs. I'm literally the embodiment of psychedelics. Right? If you talk to me long enough, there's no reasons for you to take drugs, because I will make you fly off the goddamn rails, right? Literally. So you don't need, when you're that high of a presence and you're that high of a consciousness, you don't feel the need for drugs. Neither does someone that hangs around you, because it's so interesting and it's so out of this world that you feel like you're on drugs. I can make you feel like you're on drugs. Like seriously. I can legit make you feel like you're on drugs. Sometimes I do vibrational work. I wake up the next day and it's like I have a hangover, right? It's like I just spent the whole night smoking all kinds of danks, right? But it's totally natural. It's the elevation of higher consciousness that affects your mind. So the juices are flowing, literally. You have natural drugs in you. You don't need to take drugs. You can just create drugs within yourself by elevating your mind. So the darkness is not about, it's not really about exploring. The darkness is about knowing. The darkness is about creating just as much as the light is. If you can create yourself out of darkness, you can create anything. You can't, there's nothing that's going to stop you from creating things, more or less, anyways. Let's just say you'll be a powerful being, a powerful spirit, a powerful god, a powerful jinn, a demon, a diamond. Diamonds are made in the dark, in the soil of the earth. It doesn't see light. The only time a diamond sees light is when somebody uncovers it. But most of the time, diamonds are in the dirt. So, like I said before, no needs for drugs. Especially if you already went through it. You don't need drugs. You don't need to go through drugs again. You don't need to do it again. You don't need it. You already went through it. You know what it is. You know what it's like. You don't need to experience it again. You don't need to experience it again. You already have the experience of it. Now, what you have to do is be comfortable with it. You have to be comfortable that, yeah, I used to take drugs. I used to think it was cool. I think it was the dopest shit alive. I make jokes about drugs all day. I make jokes about drugs all fucking day. I think it's the most hilarious shit ever, right? Because I'm comfortable with it. For some people that are still taking drugs, it might sound offensive, but I guarantee you I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just really comfortable with drugs. I don't see drugs as being something bad. I don't see drugs as being something good. I have no judgment towards drugs. I don't care. It is not my problem. It's not a concern. But it becomes a concern when the drugs is destroying a person. I've known people that were destroyed by drugs. That's when it starts to become a concern. If you are being destroyed by drugs, if a multitude of people are being destroyed by drugs, then there's a problem. And if you can fix it from a place that you want to do good towards a person and not from a place where you want to murder everybody that takes drugs or murder everybody that sells drugs or try to kill drugs itself. Right? Some people will they're gonna burn weed plants and all kinds of shit. Who cares? No one cares. People will take whatever they need to in order to understand things, right? They will take drugs in order to enhance their abilities. They'll take drugs in order to enhance their mental capabilities. They'll take drugs to alter their psychedelic abilities, their psychokinetic abilities, right? Their psycho paranormal activities, right? They'll take drugs to do shit like that, right? So it's their choice. If you never took drugs before and you're trying drugs right now, you can. You can. There's nothing that says that you can't. The problem is the reason why you're taking drugs. Some people take drugs because they're sad. Some people take drugs because it makes their life better. They can disconnect from reality a little bit. It makes the pain go away, right? It makes the pain go away. So you don't need to do that. You don't need to, you don't need to feel like those people. You don't need to feel like those people. You don't need to do that. All you need, there's a lot of drug dealers that don't take drugs. They just sell it, right? They just sell it. They don't take drugs. They just sell the shit. They don't even take drugs, right? There's a lot of drug dealers that don't take drugs. There's a lot of people that hang around with people that take drugs and they never took drugs. There's a lot of, everybody's different. Everybody's different, and people have a course to take, right? So you can't sit there and you used to take drugs when you were a teenager, and then you're like, you see another teenager, and then you're like, yo, you can't take drugs, man. Yeah, but you used to take drugs when you was my age, so that becomes, you become a hypocrite. You become a hypocrite. When I see people taking drugs, when I see teenagers taking drugs, I don't give them a moral. I give them a reason to do something with themselves so they don't stay in drugs. So that's what most people should be concentrating on, instead of doing morals to people and saying that, oh, this and that and this and that. Give the people or the teenagers something to live for. Give them a goal. How many teenagers do you know they're sitting there smoking all kinds of things, and there's a businessman that walks by and he starts talking about business? How many times that happens? If you're a businessman and you see kids smoking weed, you should go and talk to these kids about business immediately, as soon as you see that shit. Because yes, they're smoking weed, but they're kind of like they're gonna think about that shit later. You're giving them an experience. They call their in when you see a bunch of teenagers smoking weed, they're basically like, yeah, they want to chill, but they want to feel something, and the weed is making them feel something, right? So while they're feeling something, I got something. I got an experience. I have something that I can give you. So if I see you smoking weed over there, I'm like, you know what? Let me give you my experience, man. Maybe that shit is gonna, plus with the weed and shit, maybe that shit is gonna motivate the shit out of you. You know what I mean? Maybe that shit will motivate you the fuck out, So yes, maybe tomorrow is gonna be smoking weed, but maybe the next time you're gonna see him smoking weed, he's gonna have a pen and a pad and he's gonna be writing shit, right? Not necessarily raps. Maybe him and his friends are preparing something, right? Maybe they'll be like, yo, I got an idea for a YouTube, yo, let's do this, right? Let's do this. Look, you do that, you do this, blah blah. You do this, right, and you do that. And like I said, I'm not encouraging people to take drugs, man. I'm not encouraging people taking drugs, bro. But the thing is, most people in their teenage years did take drugs. Your grandparents took drugs. Your parents probably took drugs. Your great grandparents took drugs. Your great 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 grandparents took drugs. Whether it's cocaine, Novocaine, or some kind of cane. You know what I mean? So a lot of people used to smoke reefer. They used to smoke reefer in the 70s, and before that, they used to smoke cocaine like it was cotton candy and shit, right? So it is what it is. So just telling people not to do something without giving them an experience is just beyond ridiculous. And the only reason why I'm saying this is because I know, like, people are not comfortable with their darkness, so they're not gonna understand where I'm coming from because they haven't done the work to understand reality as it is. They only understand reality the way they live it, but they don't know what it actually is. There's a lot of people that are stuck in the matrix, and in the matrix, it's like you gotta tell somebody off. But outside of the matrix, you don't just tell somebody off. You can tell somebody off too, Especially like, let's say like the kids obnoxious and shit, like they don't want to know nothing. They're just sitting there smoking weed and they're being annoying and shit. That's a different subject. But most of the time, kids teenagers that are smoking weed on the park bench. The last time I saw that, I saw a group of kids. They were smoking weed on the park bench, and I was like, I was gonna walk by. I was gonna walk by. I wasn't even gonna say nothing. But I was like, you know what? Let me give these guys, So I started telling them about business, about you don't have to just rap and shit like that. And the worst part is there was one of the guys in the group that didn't even smoke weed, and that guy and. Like, I'm not saying like I was wrong to talk to these guys, like I did something wrong to talking to these guys, but one of the guys that was in the group, one of the teenagers that was in the group wanted to be a hairdresser, and like he wanted to do hair, like he had nice hair, so I guess he had a lot of experience doing hair, so he wanted to be a hairdresser. I was like, what the fuck, in my head I was like, okay, that's cool, I guess, but it was very unexpected. I didn't see that. Not there's anything wrong with it. I just didn't see that coming. I didn't expect that shit, right? Because they're all there smoking weed. One of them was blazed the fuck out, and one of them was listening to every fucking word I was saying, right? And he was kind of feeling it, right? And the other one was, just going, so whatever, right? But I was talking about business, and the guy, he was asking questions, right? And he was like, yo, but how do we do that? And how do we do this? So they don't even know. So people will just walk past these kids. They just walk past these teenagers all the time and just blowing dinks in people's face, but nobody ever addressed them. Because this guy was saying, but how do we do this and how do we do that? And I was like, well, you do this and you do that. There's 5 of you, put some money together, blah, 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 bada bing, bada boom, you do the damn thing. It's going to be hyped. It's going to be crazy. I even told the guy, man, shit, if you do a show, bro, I'm going to be there, man. I'm going to be there, bro. If you do a thing, I'm going to be there, bro. I want to, encourage people. If you do a thing, I'm gonna be there, bro. I'm not a hater. I know there's a lot of haters around here, but I ain't a hater, man. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. In most places, there's not a lot of things to do unless you live in a high density area. There's not a lot of things to do. I don't live in a high density area, right? So there's not a lot of things to do, right? So anybody that does anything, I'm gonna encourage that shit, right? I don't care if it's fucking $35,000. I'll pay a fucking ticket just to go fucking see the shit. You know what I mean? Because if I encourage you, you're gonna have the money to keep going. You're gonna have the opportunity to keep going. It's gonna make you happy. You're gonna give me something to look for, and you're gonna give me something to do and to meet people and to talk to people, meet some new people. You're gonna give some life to the fucking to the fucking reality and shit, right? So that's part of the darkness too. That's part of the darkness too, because you're not accepting these the so well. That's another story for another day. I'm not gonna get into all that, but but like I said, man, you don't have to taking drugs. I'm not saying drugs is good. Of course, drugs is not necessarily a good thing, especially unnatural drugs. Like amphetamines and shit like that, right? But there's a reason why people take that shit. Me, when I took amphetamines, I could read a book in 5 fucking minutes. It's fucking crazy. It blows my goddamn mind, right? So when I if I took amphetamines, I could read a book in 5 minutes. So that shit, and I'm like a person that's mentally hyperactive, right? So instead of my brain running super fast, it slowed me the fuck down, bro. Like it's like Ritalin. To me, like amphetamine is like Ritalin, so it slows me down, bro. But I don't need that shit anymore, because I got a new focus. I have a new focus on life. Back in the days, I didn't have a focus on life, right? So if I took that shit, I didn't even know that would happen to me. I didn't even notice that it would happen to me, right? It's just when I started taking it, I started to see, oh shit, bro, I'm slowed down, man. That's kind of weird, And if you look at me, you'd think that I am a relaxed person, which I am, but not mentally, because my brain is running at 100 miles an hour inside of my brain, right? So if I take amphetamines, my brain slows down. I'm a little bit more focused, right? I'm a little bit cool, And the shit is supposed to speed you up, but me, it does the contrary. It slows me down. So it's a weird effect. So people take things for different reasons, and unless you don't ask, if you don't ask or you don't care and you just like judge people right away when you see them, you're never gonna know this shit, because you're not comfortable with your darkness. You're not comfortable with the dark spots in the world. You're from the light. You believe in God, you believe in Jesus, you're from the light. I do what's right. I go to work, I take care of my children. I don't give a shit about whatever the fuck is going on, dude. I'm not getting mixed up in any stories and shit like that, right? So you walk the straight line, and there's nothing wrong about everything that I just said right there, bro. But at some point it becomes a neurosis, man, where you're intolerant of everything that's on the other side of the spectrum, right? So when you're walking down the street and you see a bunch of kids smoking danks, you're not gonna talk to them. You see a bunch of adults popping pills, you're not gonna talk to them, right? And some of the times you might be right, because you could get attacked. They could be like the bad kind of people, and you could get attacked. But sometimes you gotta follow your intuition. Sometimes you gotta follow your intuition. Sometimes you're like, you see something, you're like, man, I don't think that's me. But in actuality, that was you, right? There was something. Those kids were there to tell you something. And they're not there to tell you something. You're telling yourself something, but they're kind of there to tell you something, because you didn't know this experience before you lived it, right? So if it's the first time you see that, then it's like life told you something about yourself, right? That you didn't know before, right? But sometimes we pass those opportunities because it's like, man, I don't think that's me right there, man. That ain't me right there, bro. I'm gonna just keep on walking and shit. And the dudes, that was an experience for you to live, and you didn't get to live it, right? And that's only because of neuroses, man. That's why neurosis. That's why being stuck in no straight line is not necessarily the best thing. That's why having half a house is not necessarily the best thing. No pun intended for all my duplex niggas. But you know, no pun intended to all the duplex people out here. But you know, a lot of people have half a house, and not a lot of people have a full house. You gotta have a full house, just like in poker, baby. You gotta put all them royal flushes all in the same deck. You gotta put the king, the queen, the jester, what's the other one again? Anyway, tens and nines and all that shit. They gotta be the whole. They gotta be in the same place. They gotta be in the same place. You know what I mean? You can't just have king tens and eights and you know the queen and the jester is somewhere lost in the fucking vastness of the universe. You know what I mean? So you know. Anyway, this video is too damn long. I hope it's helpful. I know you guys might not like it. Like I said, it's a little bit dark, but somebody has to tell you. And you can criticize me as much as you want and not be able to realize who you are. But at some time and point, you're gonna realize that what I just told you was the realest shit you ever heard. And you know and you'll come back to see me and you're gonna tell me, yeah, I didn't understand what you were saying back in when you said that shit. But in a couple of years, maybe in 2 years, you'll be like, you know, shit, I finally understand what you just said, and that shit was real, man. My bad, dog. You a real one. And I'll be like, I know, man. See you later. You know. So my name is Lucifer. I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one. Peace out.